Hi.
Hi.
First thing I have to ask is, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. It's been a whirlwind. It's been chaos, but I've taken some time to myself to reflect and try to understand my actions. And I finally have come to the place where it makes sense to me.
Wow. So quieting all the noise, going away, disconnecting really gave you, and getting help really gave you clarity?
Yeah. Part of the reason why I wanted to take some time away is just because it was so chaotic and loud and there was such vitriol online. But then the other part of the reason why I wanted to go to a treatment facility was to understand my behaviors. And my goal was to really get down to the bottom of, okay, why am I choosing men that are unavailable? Why do I keep finding myself in unhealthy relationships? What are the things that I need to change about my behavior? And in knowing that I needed to make a change, I first had to know what it was that leads to those behaviors. So
The place of wounding. I used to have a therapist that called it my place of wounding, like whatever your thing is in your life that just holds you back. So how did we get here from your perspective? Because I've never watched Vanderpump Rules until I took interest in you. I saw clips online and in the back of my head had an opinion about what was going on, and it seemed disproportionate. To me, I was watching clips on social media and hearing about this Scandival that had a name, was being marketed, and it was being pumped through the PR machine. And I did say, I think I made one comment about it saying everybody's going to be more well-known than they were before because of this. And my mind was, they're on a reality show. It's set in a bar, was what I think. It's fueled by alcohol and partying and multiple affairs. So respectfully, what the hell is the big deal that everyone's talking about? Like, I didn't watch. I just saw online being like, what? This is so gigantic. Like the girl wasn't married, the couple wasn't married, no one had kids. Like, so that was just in the back of my mind, not knowing you, not knowing the show. And I started to talk about this reality reckoning and this concept that was just an off the cuff thing that I said about exploitation without compensation. And I said your name just as an example of what I imagined to be somebody who had been exploited, and for the rest of your life, that content will be out there without compensation. And that was like where I left it. And then your representative reached out to me. So that was like, that's my perspective. And I wanted to know what your side was.
It's so nice to have you validate that experience, because for a moment I thought I was going crazy. And it's true. Reality TV it's edited. It is contrived to create a certain storyline. And so it's not all factual. So as a viewer tuning in, it's easy to get wrapped up in that. And then the concept of an affair hits really hard to a lot of people. So I think there was a lot of projection happening, a lot of emotions that came up for people. And unfortunately, I was the punching bag for a lot of that. I do want to take a moment, though, to just acknowledge the hurt that I brought to a lot of people. I was not careful in my actions, and I was not thinking long term. I was completely wrapped up in heartbreak and wanting to get certain needs met. Looking back now, I can see that I was still healing from a relationship from somebody who I thought I was going to marry. And in ending that, I still haven't healed yet. So when I was filming, I was drinking a lot to ease that anxiety. And in a reality TV environment, I wasn't getting that safe space for me to express my emotions in a healthy way.
It's funny because I often say the game is moving too fast. And people say to me, to you, didn't you sign up for this? And we're going to get into that. But it's very difficult for anyone, including even someone close to it like an Andy Cohen, to understand what it's like to be on a reality show. It seems like a great idea to drink because everything's moving so fast and there are cameras and you might say something and you're in your head knowing you've said or done something that's bad, but nobody stops down. So it's like when you see those fast flashes in Tokyo or something, everything is coming at you so quickly and it's hard to stop down. And then you also don't know what's going to be manufactured in the kitchen and served. So while what you're doing is real, it's real what's happening in the moment, but it's a manufactured scenario because you wouldn't necessarily be associating with all these people having these conversations, and it's a circular reference. So I understand. I mean, and your show is way crazier, way younger, way more alcohol. So I get it. So how does it feel to be able to just tell your story with your own voice right now?
Oh my gosh. It feels like I have this opportunity to share how much I've grown and how hard I'm trying to be a better person. That person that I saw watching back on my TV was someone who's completely out of character from who I truly am. And so I feel like having this opportunity to share my side of the story and to represent myself in a way that I feel like is true to who I am is all I could ever ask for.
So you were born Rachel, and then at some point you didn't legally, but you just wanted to be called Raquel. And now you're going back to Rachel. What is the big problem with that? What is it? Because I see so many people that have stage names, or you lived in LA or on a TV show. Maybe you wanted to have a different identity. What is the big problem and what is the truth about that?
So I changed my name to Raquel in first grade. There's a few other Rachels in my class and I wanted to be special.
Right.
I also feel like deep down, I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I wanted to be somebody better in my eyes. So Raquel was a way for me to kind of be that person. The name has stuck ever since. My friends always called me Raquel and my family called me Rachel. So I respond to both. During therapy, we were doing some inner child work where you typically write with your left hand. And my therapist asked me to write my name on the whiteboard. And I wrote Rachel. And she was like, interesting. I see you as Rachel to your core. You're going by Raquel, which is okay, but it's not true to who you are. It's a wall that you have up.
Persona, maybe.
It's I mean, maybe. I feel like most of my life I've been afraid. I've struggled with social anxiety. I've struggled with judgment from other people. So having a fear of vulnerability makes sense. So I'm really just trying to come back to my roots, and I am introducing myself as Rachel.
Nice.
So
nice. Okay. Well, welcome, Rachel. I want to know about your family. Like, who got you through this? And well, actually, first, are you close with your family? Have you always been close with your family?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm very close with my family. My parents are still married. And we have a really tight-knit family. My mom is a little bit, she's a mama bear. She's very torn up about this situation. And she says that she relates to you a lot. Whatever you're saying online, she's like, yeah, Bethenny gets it, So it's really hard for her. And I feel that pain for her because I put our family in this situation that's a very hard dynamic to navigate. But she's been so supportive, and both my parents have been. they were able to make this treatment happen for me. And I'm so blessed that I had that opportunity to go and to extend into 90 days because I knew I wasn't ready to leave yet. I knew I had more work to do. And I just feel so lucky that I was able to learn about myself at such a young age in retrospect.
Wow, it's so true. You could be my daughter. I've thought about that many times in watching the reunion, which we're going to get into. And I thought about, I would probably be in jail for murder if I were your mom. Like I was wondering if you were feeling guilty for quote unquote putting them through this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because that probably took a toll on your whole family. And what about your childhood friends and what's been that like your whole real infrastructure?
My childhood friends are the only people that I can talk to and trust, unfortunately. There have been so many betrayals of friendships who I trusted and disclosed confidential information to, thinking that they would hold that value of keeping it in the vault. And then they've turned around and disclosed those things to the press. And it's been really difficult to accept that I don't have friends in LA anymore.
Has anyone defended you?
There's a few people that have, but most of the people that weren't posting negative things online were getting harassed to post something.
Oh.
And one of my friends reached out and said, I'm so sorry, I have to unfollow you because I'm getting such hate for even following you.
Wow. Okay. So let me just read really quickly your Instagram apology. You said, I want to apologize for my actions and my choices, foremost to Ariana and to my friends and the fans so invested in our relationships. There's no excuse. I'm not a victim. I must own my actions, and I deeply regret hurting Ariana. In the time since this came to light, I'm reflecting on my choices, speaking to a counselor, and I'm learning things about myself, such as my patterns of codependency and addiction to being and feeling loved. You said that you've sought validation through intimate connections and that you've began counseling and kind of what you said before. So is this whole apology as accurate now coming out of treatment as it was then? Did you feel like you had to say this because you just had to say something and is this a fully authentic apology based on where you are now?
Yes, I still stand by that apology. It is full circle in a way, talking about that need to be validated and that wanting to be loved. It took me a while to accept, but I learned about love addiction, and it's a real thing. It's where you confuse intensity for intimacy.
The pheromones and the oxytocin and all those things. Is it called
Yes.
oxytocin?
Yeah. And those chemical changes in the brain are the same chemical changes that happens when you take drugs. So it is addictive, and it explains why I couldn't stop seeing this person. But it also doesn't excuse the fact that it happened. But now I know better.
And also, so I remember planning a wedding on a reality television show. And I don't know that I would have done that if I weren't on a reality television show. Everything's bigger. Like I said, the train is moving. The train has left the station and everybody's talking to you and there's so much messaging. So you're in this flurry. And we'll get into this, but it feels like that environment that you were in celebrates affairs and scandal. It seems like that show is thriving because of that. So it seems like you're in a world where that's all kind of, it's bad in normal life, but there with producers and everybody, that's good. An affair is great for TV.
Yeah. And with the cast, it's almost been normalized in a way. And so as I'm looking up to my fellow cast members and seeing them as role models and like how to make a good reality TV show, because I want to do my job well, it's uncanny to see the hate that this specific affair brought up in people, when almost every single one of the cast members have been in an affair.
Yeah, it just hit sideways somehow that you were in the perfect storm. And I'm not saying that you weren't responsible, and you're accepting, I think, at least partial responsibility, but there's a lot going on. So I want to just talk about the facility before we get into the show. So what happens? We could get into the reunion after, but you leave a reunion, and then what happens? You walk out of this reunion that I have since seen. How do you get into a facility, and how does this all transpire?
So I walked out of the reunion. There was a few days before I did my final interview, which is that 5-minute at the end of season 10, where I break down. And, that was really difficult for me because I was committed to keeping these secrets. And I felt like I betrayed all of my friendships and relationships with everyone except for Tom. And by going behind his back, that would be the ultimate betrayal in my eyes, from my perspective. So
you mean you had alienated everyone, and then you were going to alienate him?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's really like that fear of abandonment. It was really hard for me to, decide, like, am I going to take this story to the grave when most people already are assuming the worst anyway? Or am I going to own up to my actions and be honest and really take accountability? And in that moment, I wasn't even able to be fully honest because I was still keeping secrets for people who specifically requested for me to, like, keep it on the down low, especially going to visit his family and his friends out in St. Louis. So it really just showed me that honesty is one of my core values that I refuse to compromise any longer.
Okay. So that's Rachel talking now, because there was some dishonesty from your previous action. So this is sort of, you're saying, like, that's the main tenet now going forward, like, honesty will not be compromised.
Correct.
And there are many different reasons for why you were dishonest. You're taking accountability, but there also were many ingredients that contributed too. Okay. Well, we're definitely going to talk about it. Oh, so what happened at the facility? Like, so how do you get to the facility? You go do the dinner interview, and then how do we get to the facility? What was that decision like? Who made it? And then
it was a really scary decision to make because I knew I needed help, but I didn't know what to expect going in. I had the option to go straight into the treatment facility before the reunion, but I decided to commit to my work obligation and go back and film. But once I filmed the reunion and did that final interview, I took a flight to Phoenix and went straight to the treatment center. They took my phone, they searched my bags for anything that they needed to confiscate, and I was kind of thrown into this place where it was a lot of new faces, and I was already carrying so much shame that it was difficult for me to be like, hi, I'm Raquel. But as time went on, I was able to warm up and really share my story in an authentic, honest way. And I was met with grace and compassion from my peers. And a big part of my journey is learning to be compassionate with myself as well.
So do you forgive yourself?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So now we're on to the show, which first of all, what made you talk to me? I mean, everybody, I would assume, wants to talk to you. You haven't spoken in months. We don't know each other. And that takes some blind faith, some trust. So why me?
Bethenny, you are a force to be reckoned with. And I just heard what you were saying on TikTok, and using my case as an example of exploitation and the way that the network is running to the bank. like laughing, running to the bank with this scandal, and I haven't seen a single penny. So in that way, I feel like it's not fair. And I feel like a toddler saying it's not fair,
Right.
but it really isn't. And I feel like I've been portrayed as the ultimate villain. My mistakes that I made on camera live on forever. And you mentioned something about the addiction of doing reality TV and the way that they always dangle that carrot in front of you. Like, well, you need to tell your side of the story. Otherwise it's going to be written for you. And that's terrifying. So I almost went back just because of that.
What happens is, to give people inside baseball, and I have institutional knowledge of 15 years, what happens is somebody could have a great season and everyone loves them and you're feeding off of that. That's the drug. That's the heroin. You've taken the drug. You got the hit. And then all of a sudden something happens and the pendulum swings, because I always say it's a zero-sum game. Someone's always winning. Someone's always losing. Someone's always killing. Someone's always being killed. Mm-hmm. The people that end up in the middle get fired or are friends. The people that are in the middle under the radar, you got to be getting killed or killing somebody. So if you are winning, you're on top of the world and it seems great. And then all of a sudden you go to the bottom, and that's like an addict who hits rock bottom. And what do they want to do? They want to take another hit. And the producers are there, and this is a fact, to tell you, you know why, you should go back. Don't let them tell your story for you. You get to go back and you'll show them all next season. And that's how they get people who are miserable and on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication to go back in. Not to mention, many people ruin their reputations, and this is the only place that will have them. You have 55, 60-year-old women who couldn't really work anywhere else, much less have ruined their reputations. So this is a place that will take you back. And because if you do drugs or get drunk or have an affair, you get paid more. You're celebrated. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's about this institution, this system that I've been talking, and I really do understand what you're saying. And it occurs to me that you're the villain. Mm-hmm. Ariana's the hero. Tom is another character who doesn't take the hit as much as you in this Scandival. But you're right. The realm is making a lot of money, and now it took three of you in a recipe to create the scandal as people who are partially produced. Let's just say that it's real in a very unreal circumstance and also produced. So now you have one of the three characters that can't even afford to pay for your treatment that you just went through.
Right.
Because it's my understanding that you get paid in a year less than my interns get paid.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that producers also told me is that you get paid based off of your performance from the season prior. So that already set me up to want to perform well going into season 10. I was like, okay, this could be my season. I could really stand out, and I'm single for the first time. Like, I want to embrace that. And I took direction well.
Yeah, you don't ever know how you're doing in the game, because the producer is telling both people, the person killing and being killed, that they're doing a great job. So you never know until what comes out of the oven.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's in talking about the show. I really want to talk about, let's be really honest about the relationship. So I have made relationships on reality television, and it's not a healthy place to nurture a relationship. It's not a place to bring a relationship in, which is why many marriages have failed. And I'm not saying it's because of reality TV, but it certainly hasn't helped. Mm-hmm. And then friendships, you see very unlikely friendships. In The Housewives, you'd see someone like Carol Radziwill and Tinsley Mortimer, or Jill Zarin and Kelly Ben-Simone. Very unlikely friendships, because you need alliances. It started back with Survivor. So you have these friendships, and they do seem and feel real, and they kind of are real, because you're really connecting, you're having fun, and you're also have someone to talk to about this weird thing that no one else in the world and your childhood friends would never understand. So it's all you talk about. You're on a loop, and you think the whole world is like this and the whole world knows what's going on. And so I ask you about this friendship, all of the friendships, and then I guess the friendship with Ariana. because being your best friend is coming into question. And that's, the world thinks you slept with your best friend's boyfriend of 10 years.
Yes, that is the narrative that is being written for me. It is more salacious that way. Ariana and I were not best friends. We were acquaintances who became friends through the show.
Mm-hmm.
She's always been somebody who's been very sweet to me. She would stand up for me and encourage me to pursue whatever I was
Pursuing.
She would encourage me to pursue whatever I was pursuing. And that was all great. But we never had like a deep conversation that I would have with a best friend. And it's painful to think that I hurt her in this way because that wasn't my intention. I wasn't trying to be a malicious person. I just got wrapped up in this and wasn't thinking clearly. But we were not best friends. The Alliances, who I called these people my friends because I really did believe that they were my friends.
It feels real, and it kind of is real in that environment.
Yes. So Sheena was one of my best friends. She offered her apartment to me to stay in while I was figuring out my next moves after breaking up with James. She kept this apartment in LA but wasn't living in it because she was living down in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
But she started creating this narrative that she was the sister I never had and the mother, like a mother to me, and that she gave me a place to live when nobody else would, put me up anywhere. And that I didn't pay rent, which is not true. I did pay rent. And I also cat sat for her cat who was pumped with mercury for a treatment. She couldn't be near the cat because she was breastfeeding for her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I also did her podcasts. And she said the one podcast that I did with her talking about my breakup with James was the number one most listened to podcast. So I know that it's just unfortunate that she's trying to create this narrative that I've taken advantage of her when I feel like I did contribute in a way that would really...
You're saying it was a quid pro quo. It was a mutually beneficial relationship within a television show, which is all murky anyway.
Right.
So how sorry are you to Ariana? And what do you make of all of that? Do you think she'll ever forgive you? Do you care about that? Where are you with that part?
I don't expect her to forgive me. I think once trust is broken with somebody from personal experience, it's really hard to come back from that. And the fact that I was able to keep those secrets from her, I don't expect her to ever forgive me, but I am remorseful. I do recognize that I've caused her a lot of pain, and there was a lot of secrecy, deception, because although I wasn't hanging out with Ariana off camera to begin with, I did start hanging out with her in a group setting because Tom would always invite me out. So it did seem like we were close friends from the outside looking in, but in those situations, I was hanging out with Tom more than I was hanging out with her. So
did you ever spend time with Ariana off camera and away from the show?
No, not just us together. No,
never.
No.
Wow. That says something. I mean,
yeah,
you definitely would have seen your best friend
yeah.
off camera his whole life. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, go out to dinner, just the two of you, or shopping or lunch.
No. Yes. Okay. So how much do you think their relationship is real, Tom and Ariana?
I don't know. I know. I would not be involved in this affair secrecy type of situation if I thought that there was longevity in this relationship between Tom and Ariana. The people closest to them could see that their relationship hasn't been what they portray on camera. And Tom always told me, like, they're a brand, they're an image. They work together to make brand deals, and they are business partners.
Are they business partners? Literally, or just, you mean in the show, being like a duo on the show?
They're a duo on the show, and they utilize that for the success of their brand or image.
Got it. And do they live together now still?
They do still live together.
You have to explain that to me. You don't know, but I don't understand. How does America know that?
Yes. America does know that, and people are confused as to why they're still living together. I actually gave Tom the key to my apartment while I was away at the Meadows, and he had a free place to stay and chose to stay in the house with Ariana.
I mean, they both can afford a place or go rent a place.
I don't know. I know that a lot of his money was wrapped up in the bar, Schwartz and Sandy's. And I know that Ariana's been doing a lot of brand deals.
Yeah.
I don't know their situation, but I do know that it really isn't that surprising that they're living together in my eyes, because it's been this way. They haven't been an authentic couple, romantic.
So it doesn't matter. So they're roommates, and it doesn't matter. It's not as deep. And so the breakup isn't as deep either. And now seeing that she's doing millions of dollars of deals. So it takes 3 to tango in Scandival. And how does it honestly feel seeing that she's doing all of these deals and is America's sweetheart and all these appearances and doing the talk show circuit and things like that?
Part of me says, good for you.
Good.
Because take advantage of these opportunities while they come your way. But it is hurtful to me just to think that my nature is very kind and forgiving and understanding of other people. So the concept of me being the ultimate reality TV villain just blows my mind. And the way that she spoke to me at the reunion, I feel like it was uncalled for.
It was too far.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I think, and we're going to get into the reunion because that's where I really became invested in this as a concept. And I'm speechless about the reunion. But what I wanted to ask you was, is it more don't hate the player, hate the game? Like, you don't blame all of the warriors like yourself who are there to get ratings and to kill people or be killed and to cheat and to drink and to have affairs and think it's real and normal because that's this landscape, but you blame the game. Mm-hmm. Is that how you feel?
I feel like I just got caught up in something that is way too big for me to handle, and I'm just trying to survive. So I don't know who people should hate. That's up to their discretion, but I
didn't mean literally. I meant like
right.
You know what I mean?
I think like being knowledgeable on all the factors that play into reality TV is important, because there's so much that is brushed under the rug and hidden from the viewers that it's easy to consume this narrative that's being thrown at you.
Yeah. So I want to talk about this tape, this FaceTime. I can't imagine what your parents went through about that. There's a video. So you're FaceTiming Tom. You're in New York and Tom is in LA, and you're masturbating and he's recording you and you don't know that you're being recorded.
Correct.
Okay. And then tell me what happened with this video that I now know about. So I don't understand what happened.
I was in New York for Watch What Happens Live the night before the night before our big press day and the live interview with Andy Cohen. I decided to be adventurous and look at the adult section on the TV. And Tom and I FaceTime a lot. So it turned into something more of an intimate FaceTime. I expected to have privacy in that moment. So that happened. The entire day is a success in my eyes. And I was celebrating with Sheena after Watch What Happens Live. And I looked at my hairstylist and I was like, you know what? I'm ready for anything. Whatever happens, I feel like I just leveled up and I'm killing it and I can handle anything. Literally 5 minutes later, I get a text from Ariana sending me two screen recorded videos and a text that said, "You're dead to me." And that's how I knew that she knew.
What date was that?
This was March 1st.
Of 2023. Okay.
Yes. And
so that's like 5 months ago. Okay.
and then also that's how I found out that I had been recorded without my consent. So of course all of these emotions came flooding over me. She called me and she was yelling at me and begged to know when it first started.
Was she being filmed when she asked that?
No.
Okay.
This was all off camera. We had already wrapped filming.
Okay.
And because she had that video, I was scared I was scared that it was going to be leaked.
And was it graphic? Like you could see?
I mean, it's not something that I would ever want my grandma to see. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or your kids.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I felt pressured in that moment. And one of the reasons why it went on for so long, this affair, is because Tom and I couldn't come to a resolution on the timeline of it all, because Tom didn't want Ariana to know how long it actually had been going on, and felt like it would hurt her more if she knew that this happened during the summer. This was summer of 2022.
Oh, so this went on for a while.
7 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she begged to know. I told Ariana that it had been happening for 7 months, and she flipped out. This is also while Tom was performing his hit new single in West Hollywood at Tom Tom. So everyone was there. Lisa Vanderpump was there. And his phone just happened to fall out of his pocket while he was performing. He didn't change his password, even though at this time he said that they were broken up officially. And then he also left the video in his camera roll.
Wait, this is what you believe, or this is what was said?
This is what I know, because this is what has been said by Tom and by Ariana.
That the phone fell out of his pocket?
Yes.
And you believe that?
I don't even know what to believe anymore.
Okay. So the phone fell out of his pocket and she then picked it up and put his password in, or didn't have his Face ID, and then found a video that was on the front of his phone for her to see?
Yes. A mutual friend picked it up, gave it to Ariana because Tom was still performing. She had this gut instinct, she said, to look through the phone, and she just looked through the camera roll and there was the video. And
okay. And who else has seen that?
It seems to be that a lot of people have seen it, despite my immediate cease and desist letter that went out. Some of Ariana's friends have described the video in great detail online. And she also sent it to me. So I don't know who else she sent it to. I wouldn't be surprised if she sent it to other people, but it's not legal.
Right. And other people have said to you that they've seen it?
Yeah.
Okay. So Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 28.
You're 28. So have you had many relationships before reality television?
No, I had an unofficial boyfriend who was scared of commitment in college. And that was my first love, my first I love you to somebody. And then I met James, and I met James when I was 21. I was in this like DJ phase where I was like into the DJ and try to get up on stage and whatever. And when I met him, he had this like charming British accent. And so I fell like in love with James. We did long distance for 2 years, and then we lived together for 3 years.
But you've had your major significant relationships in your life have been on reality television.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So were you what you believed to be in love with Tom?
I believed I was in love with Tom at the time. I now look back on it and see that I was not in love with him. I also don't believe that he truly was in love with me either.
Okay.
We had this connection that I felt seen and heard by him that I haven't really had that connection with other people on the cast nor people in my real life. So it was like I was filming in a tumultuous environment. I was needing some validation and somebody to hear what I was going through. And here comes along Tom, who really gave me that time of day to share my side of the story in a non-judgment zone. And that's exactly what I needed in that moment.
Before we get into the reunion, I would like to hear about Sheena and you,
Yes.
and then the dog.
Yes.
The dog.
Yes, there's still a lot to unpack here. So Sheena did physically assault me that night. And I have a permanent scar on my eyebrow. And at the moment, I thought I deserved it. That's why I just stood there and let it happen. She pushed me as hard as she could against a brick wall. The back of my head hit the wall pretty hard, and then she socked me in the eye. And I was in shock. She threw my phone in the street and then called Ariana from her phone. And I immediately ran to my phone, and it was a brand new iPhone. So I was like, oh no, is it cracked? But it was fine. I called Tom immediately and I was like, Sheena just punched me in the face. And he was like, oh, I know. I heard her say to Ariana, I just punched that bitch in her face and threw her phone in the street. So it's just nuts that she's doubled down on this narrative that I'm a liar and a cheat, and that I completely fabricated this assault for whatever reason. I don't think that filing a restraining order was out of question, because she was making this like punch emoji on a post that she made with Ariana saying like, I've always got your back. And it just, I didn't feel safe. So it's just unfortunate that I've been, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me how I can be assaulted and then still have so much vitriol. And I think,
And still be the villain.
yeah. Yeah.
Did you sign up for this? Like, did you sign up for all of this? That's what people will say. She signed, everyone knows what they're getting into. They've seen the show. She signed up for this.
You know what, Bethenny? I really thought that reality TV was going to be fun.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a great experience for me to step out of my comfort zone.
So what I didn't ask you is, how did you feel knowing someone that you thought you were in love with recorded you, and then it ends up on a TV show? I mean, within a cast of a TV show.
I felt very betrayed. I felt like I couldn't trust this person. I felt like my privacy didn't matter to him, and he didn't really give a good excuse besides he wanted me to see it later on to see how beautiful I was. But if he would have asked for permission, I would have said no. When Tom and I were filming at my apartment, after filming got picked back up, I said to Tom, how can I trust you? You filmed me without my consent. And he admitted to it. But then after that scene wrapped, he said, why did you say that? Why did you say that on camera? You made me look bad. And I was like, well, because that's what happened. And and he ended up boycotting filming the rest of Scandival so that he could have editing rights to that scene to take out that specific
He said, I'm
piece.
not filming unless you take that out.
Yes.
I've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Wow. Has he gotten the same level of hate that you have for the affair?
I'm not sure. I think he's getting a lot of hate right now, just being pompous and like being around town with a bunch of different girls. But I feel like it's true. The woman does get the short end of the stick.
That makes sense. So Tom owns the bar he owns Schwartz and Tom and then Schwartz and Sandy.
Yes.
So the Bethenny clause is something that was a result of my Skinnygirl deal. And it says that businesses that are showcased on reality shows, that the cast members have to kick up to the network a percentage. So I assume that Bravo profits off of these bars and Lisa Vanderpump's bars. So Tom is a partner in these bars?
Yes, he is.
So he profits off of the marketing that the show provides, and then Bravo profits off of the sales, and everybody was going into these bars. Is he a producer?
He's not technically a producer. He's been on the series from day one, season one. I don't know if I'm even able to disclose this information, but he did tell me during negotiations for season 11 that he was offered a producer credit for season 11.
Oh, okay.
So I think he was being rewarded for the scandal of it all.
Wow.
And to me, that's just kind of gross because it makes me skeptical. Like, was this really just something that was fabricated for this end result?
You know, it sounds like Lisa Vanderpump is profiting, Bravo's profiting, Annie Cohen's definitely profiting, Tom is profiting, Ariana is profiting. So, and you're in a deficit, you're in debt. Interesting. And is Lisa Vanderpump in a position to protect you guys within this place you're working? Like, are you supposed to feel like someone's there to protect you, that there's someone to go to, a supervisor, a manager, a boss?
There really isn't anybody that's a safe place to go to. I don't think that anybody on that show has my best interest at heart. So it's hard for me to be so trusting like I once was. And people have like Kristen has a spinoff. She was fired years ago and now she's back and she has a spinoff coming, right? Yes.
So you kind of get sucked in and you'll do whatever it is because you want to get a spinoff and you want your bar to succeed. So it sounds logical that people would play the game because take a few punches, you're making money.
You're selling your soul, essentially. And this past season really did feel like the first season where I was like, oh my God, I am selling my soul. And it's interesting that you mentioned Kristen because Kristen was just starting to talk about her tumultuous relationship with James and what happened behind closed doors. And then all of a sudden she's presented with this spinoff, which I believe is a way to silence her, to keep that under wraps so that the longevity of Vanderpump Rules can continue.
The realm, protect the realm. So there is an alleged physical abuse. There's a physical abuse allegation with Kristen and James.
Yes.
And people say something was cut out of, and I've gotten people that have called me about other incidents related to that. And you think that a spinoff is good hush money for someone who was fired for like an alleged racist act?
Yeah, I think she was in relation with Stassi and they both got fired at the same time. But I do believe what she has said about James. I know I've seen him be a violent person. So I have no doubt that what she's saying is true. I hope that one day it will come to light and there will be justice.
It's so crazy. Sometimes reality TV is like the upside down. People are rewarded for bad behavior and negativity. Like I've said, bankruptcy. In no other world, does the boss, the entity, like pull in and highlight addiction, drinking, affairs, bankruptcy, going to jail. Like that's, in other workplaces that's frowned upon. Yes. So reality TV is the upside down, and it's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't watched the show, so I don't know about Kristen and I don't know about the firing, but then to the pendulum to swing and get a spinoff from fired to spinoff is is an interesting swing.
It is interesting because the cast members that were fired and canceled at that time now have this big comeback because this scandal is so salacious that we are the ultimate villains, Tom and I, and now they have a platform to redeem themselves.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into the reunion. So, because that's the last time really anyone saw you.
Yeah.
I want to read something to you that you experienced, but I don't know if when you hear it just read to you, and for the audience too, the audience that tuned in, the ratings were astronomical. It's the biggest event that Bravo's had in a really long time. It's a cash cow, millions, tens of millions of dollars, advertisers. It was a ratings juggernaut. The ratings were, I think I read somewhere, total viewers were in like 11 million or something. I mean, how much greater were the ratings during Scandival than a normal season? And was the show failing? I've heard rumors that the show is failing. It was on autopilot and kind of on the way down, and Scandival revived it.
Yeah, Alex Baskin went on record himself. He's our executive producer of Vanderpump Rules. And he said the show was going to be canceled after season 10. And if it wasn't for Scandival, there wouldn't be another season.
Wow. What were the ratings before and what were the ratings after?
I don't know the numbers, but I would be very curious to know because...
Well, it says Vanderpump Rules viewers did not dip out of the season 10 finale. It hit highs for the Bravo show. The episode, which showed the fall, drew a combined audience of 4.1 million viewers on Bravo, On Demand, and the Peacock within 3 days. Of that viewership, oh, wow, 2.4 million in the demo. To give everyone a frame of reference, at the peak of Successful Housewives that I've been on, and of course Beverly Hills does really well, but like Atlanta back in the old days, the heyday would get 4 million, like back in the heyday. But they never got 2.4 million in the demo. That's the sweet spot for Bravo. That's the advertisers. Like the most I've ever seen for Housewives is with a 1 in front of it, with maybe 1 million. That's astronomical, that demo. Wow. Yeah. The target. Yeah. The ratings are, I would be willing to bet that the demo was probably a couple 100,000 when it was failing. And then it went up to 2.4 million. It probably shot up Oh, wow. Season 10 reached over 11.5 million total viewers. That's bigger than network numbers. That's outrageous. More than 115 million hours of season 10 have been watched to date across both platforms, as well as on small digital apps. Season 10 reached over 11.5. Holy shit. That's insane. 11.5 million. I thought that was like not even true. Wow. That's crazy.
And
It's the most watched cable series of 2023 in the 18 to 49 demo, which is the sweet spot. That's all the advertisers. Bravo has made millions and millions of dollars. This is the realm they must protect. That is, yeah, well, wow. All right, so now we're going to get into it. That's shocking. I'm glad I read that before getting into the reunion. Okay, so it's all, they cashed their checks.
Yes.
They've all got Ferraris. Let's go.
And a lot of people are obviously tuning in for the first time, hearing about Scandival and rewatching old episodes. A lot of people are rewatching past seasons that I've been on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Trying to figure out like, oh, did this happen in season 8?
Oh, no. All boats rise with the tide. Totally fair. They're
Yeah.
going back and no one's making money on residuals. It's insane ratings. Wow, Bethenny, wow. Okay. So let's take a breath. I just got jacked up, so I want to get jacked down. I want to read to you from the reunion, the transcript. You were only really on the second of the reunion. Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was a restraining order.
I think technically I was only on the third part of the 3-part reunion.
Okay.
I was in the trailer watching the reunion for the first 2 parts.
Okay, so I watched all of the reunion. That's what I did watch, and a couple of episodes, but of the scandal. But I watched the reunion, and I got my pen and paper, and I wrote some things down because I was in shock. And maybe not having watched 10 years of this, I could sort of just see something in a vacuum, and it is in a vacuum because I haven't watched. If you've been duplicitous or dishonest or things that people think about you. But I know that you're a human being. I know that you could be my daughter. And I know that Andy Cohen is a parent and Lisa Vanderpump is a parent, and that your castmates are all going to war because they just were on the biggest show of 2023. So I'm putting all of this in my mind. And I just want to read to you what was said to you in a very short period of time on the reunion. Diabolical, demented, subhuman, shut the fuck up, fuck you, fuck yourself with a fucking cheese grater. You're disgusting, and I wish the worst that can ever happen to a person on you. And then you said, I feel like a piece of shit. And then it was said to you about you, and then Lala says, my love, I think you need to get mentally evaluated. You're truly insane. And then you say, I am getting mentally evaluated. And then it said to you, you're a fucking psychopath. You're a dementor. You're a soul-sucking individual. You're ugly. You're hideous. You're rotten on the inside. Rotten like a moldy piece of fruit. Rotten. You are nothing, you are nothing, you are nothing. Let that sink in, because I know it's hard for you to let other people's thoughts go into your brain because you never have had an original thought of your own. You are nothing. You're dead to everybody now. I'm really sorry. Like, that was actually said to you on national television. And then you said, no one handed you a tissue. I saw Ariana got a tissue. No one handed you a tissue. And then you started to walk off. And Andy said, hold on, come back. What does that mean to you, hearing those words like in a row, like I wrote them down and just read them?
Nobody should ever be spoken to like that. We're all human. We're just navigating through life and we're bound to make mistakes. I know that I'm not lesser than or even greater than anybody else. That's one of the lessons that I learned at the Meadows. I also, hearing that, it's very difficult in that moment to accept those words that are being thrown at you, and it's much easier to disassociate and just let it fly on over, because who can even accept that and be like, oh, you're throwing this stuff at me, let me look at it, oh yeah, that's all mine. No, like, I can see that those words are filled with hate and are intended to put me down and make me feel like someone who is not worthy of love, who's not worthy of acceptance or living life. And I know that I am worthy. I think every single person on this earth is worthy of living a life full of love. This might be a little bit of a tangent, but I'm adopted, and my mom couldn't give birth. So her sister got pregnant with me and asked my mom if she wanted to have this baby. And so she gave birth to me and gave me to my adopted mom. And I think that I am a miracle to be able to live in this world, this planet we call Earth. And I just can't accept those words.
Good. And, I thought to myself, what must your parents think when they hear that? And like, you'll maybe one day have a daughter or a son, and like, what would they think when this lives up? And I have a daughter, and if I would have killed someone, honestly. So I don't know you, and I don't know what happened, but I know you're a person. And I know that I read somewhere that Andy said like about Tom, he is a human being or something, but like, has anyone said that you're a human being?
No, I've been told that I'm subhuman.
So why do you think Andy said, hold on, come back to someone? He's been a Bravo executive. He's in a superior role. He's a parent. He's been a producer. And he's 54 years old. He's like, he's a little older than I am, but like, I'm not saying you're a kid, but in this world with producers and a network and 11.5 million viewers, you're the employee. Who's the protector of the employee? Where's, you're going to go to HR and say people called me subhuman piece of garbage? Like, where's...
If I did, I don't know. They'd be like, well, that's the nature of the beast.
And then it was said to you, you should leave and never come back. No one wants you. Bye. Ariana gets a tissue. And then sociopath, you have no more friends, you moron. So... did someone ask you to come back, like on the reunion? Did you walk away? Did someone ask you to come back?
Honestly, I can't even remember in that moment. I believe I walked away to get a sip of water because when I get nervous, my mouth gets parched. Mm-hmm. And I kind of already knew that I would be emotionally abused by my cast members by going back and doing the reunion.
It was like your penance?
Yeah, it's like I have to own up to it, and I have to like do I deserve this hate? Like, is this hate justified because what I have done is so horrendous?
Well, my therapist, I have a therapist called Dr. Matt Pulowitz. He's a really nice guy. He's very gentle. He's very sweet. He's saved my life in a way that's about another story for another time. But I asked him to watch the reunion. I mean, a grown man who's a professional. And I said to him, will you watch this for me? And will you tell me what you think? He's a psychologist. He's obviously a therapist. And he said something interesting. He said, there's a difference between punishment and abuse. He said, punishment is you're banished from the friend group. No one will speak to you. So let's say a wife's husband cheats. Like, she won't speak to him for 6 months. He's sleeping in the doghouse. Maybe she doesn't want to get a divorce. Maybe a divorce is a punishment. It's a punishment. Mm-hmm. He said, this was not a punishment from everybody. This was abuse, which was very interesting. And he said that the reunion, he said, have I ever witnessed an intervention or a situation where there's a group, like group therapy or like a reunion? He said, in this particular case, usually there's a goal, he said. In this particular case, he said, there was no goal for conflict resolution. Mm-hmm. It was just a beat down on a treadmill. He said it was a loop. It was just a constant beating that, was abusive. And I looked up, many studies say that emotional abuse can be as difficult as physical abuse. And I want to get into what then happened, the further abuse that you had online and what that was like after. But the definition of emotional abuse is a way to control by using emotions to embarrass, shame, frighten, criticize, blame, or manipulate another. And verbal aggression, intimidation, manipulation, and humiliation, which unfolds as a pattern of behavior over time that aims to diminish another person's sense of identity, dignity, and self-worth. Do you feel like you've been emotionally abused?
Absolutely. In the moment, I felt like I deserved it, but after taking some time away and seeing things more objectively, absolutely, I was emotionally abused.
And did you feel protected at all by, why do you think, would you have expected a producer to maybe step in and stop, or the host, or Lisa, whose name is on the show? Like, would you have expected someone to be like, she's been beaten and let's stop this?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like a part of a reunion is to hear what people have to say about it. You got yourself into this mess. Now you need to lay in this bed that you made for yourself. What do you have to say for yourself? Like, when people do things that are out of character, it's only human nature to want to know why and what do you have to say? Like, are you remorseful or are you just laughing? But that wasn't, there was no opportunity for me to even speak and share what I was going through and why I found Tom to be this person that I connected to in an emotional way that I didn't connect to anybody else. And what needs were being met in this relationship. And why did I compromise my values when everyone that has seen me since season 5 to season 10 has seen this girl that's reserved, shy, naive, but very sweet. And season 10 was so out of character for me. It just, viewing that alone, it would make me want to know why, what is going on internally with this girl to be involved in this situation. But that was not the space for me.
So, but Dr. Matt was right. There was no room for conflict resolution. That wasn't the goal.
Absolutely not.
I saw that there was a pill bottle thrown at the reunion, like made light of, somebody said, do you want a Xanax? I have a Xanax. And that was sort of made light of. And I sometimes think about that this is effectively, it's a non-traditional workplace, but I would imagine there are even some workplace rules in a strip club. Like it is still a workplace. And I thought a pill bottle's being thrown. Wow. Okay. And then I read something where they said that, Andy said to, I think, Variety, that he thought that you were medicated, that you were insinuating that you were on prescription drugs. So how did that make you feel?
I mean, I am medicated. I've been on antidepressants for several years now, and it makes sense looking back. It's probably around the time that I started filming Vanderpump Rules. But to say that I must be heavily medicated because my behavior was erratic or I didn't have emotions is not okay in my eyes. I feel like that violates some sort of HIPAA law. And to make assumptions like that, it's damaging to a person.
An employer cannot say that a person that works for them is medicated. I mean, I know that that's a private piece of information, whether it was true or not, or speculation. I just don't know where the line is. That's what I'm kind of, that reunion. And this is why people are saying to me, why are you doing this? Why are you biting the hand that feeds you? I'm the shining golden child that got out and made the money. Why am I? They would have had me back at any time to make millions of dollars to be on these shows. Yeah. Something about this jumped off the page to me. Like, this is where the line is crossed. And the fact that the viewers digested what was said to you that I just read, I don't think they really realized what they were digesting because it's become the norm now. I just think that the viewers just like in some hazy world where they think this is like real, but you're kind of these like circus character. You're like these characters, animals in a zoo that they don't really understand that you're a person and that was said to you and that like it's just like flippant talk about the medication. So after the reunion, Andy said she took it all on the chin like a champ. She just sat there and took it. I didn't know that she would be able to, which is probably why I hypothesized. I didn't know how long Raquel would last on set. Given my years of experience in these forums, I would have thought that she would have walked off way sooner and maybe walked into her car, never to be seen again. So
that's interesting that you say that, just because I did walk off stage and then he summoned me back.
That's what I'm saying. So this is why it feels you're abused and you're told to fuck you with a cheese grater and 40 other things. And then hold on, come back. It's like, you were just abused by people, but we want you to come back for more. And then what I don't understand is I didn't know how long she would last on set. And I would have thought she'd walk off and went into the reunion. He said he went into the reunion worried for your mental health. And he said, I saw how unemotional she was, and it made me think like she was either really medicated. So it almost sounds like he was worried going in. I wonder, did anyone advocate for you to have like a mental health advocate on set or someone to protect you? Or
going into the reunion, it was promised to me that I would have a mental health advocate in my trailer as I watched the first two parts of the reunion, and then behind the scenes, just in case, for my mental well-being. And that was taken away from me.
Jesus.
The night before, like the day before the reunion. And I think it was a punishment because I did this, like, this paparazzi guy found me waiting to get my nails done on the sidewalk of the street, and I felt awkward being inside there. And I asked some of his questions. They were very basic. I didn't give away anything that the reunion was going to touch on. And I think the network saw that and was, I don't know, angry, disappointed, and punished me by taking away my mental health advocate.
Okay.
Oh, and then there's one more thing regarding the HIPAA situation. There was so it got out that I was at the Meadows for mental health treatment.
Okay.
And sorry. one of my peers who recognized me when I came into the Meadows was like, oh my gosh, Raquel, like, what are you doing here? And she was in for that duration of time. So she didn't know anything about the scandal, but she watched the show.
Okay.
And so I filled her in on the situation and the things that led me up to coming to get treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first week and her last week. That same day she left, there was news that I was at this place called the Meadows getting mental health treatment. And that was a violation of my privacy. And then, it got picked up. But then there was conversations of, oh, Raquel isn't getting treatment. She's at a spa. She's at Miraval. And
who said that? Castmates or
castmates,
or insiders in the press?
Insiders, people who know for a fact.
Oh, okay.
And so that whole narrative was being pumped out there that I'm at a spa, and I had my team contact them saying, look, you guys know she's at the Meadows. We have the paperwork to confirm it. Will you dispel these rumors that she's at a spa? And they refused to do that, to keep this narrative going.
But being in a mental health facility and not getting that cleared up, you wanted them to say she's getting treatment, not at a spa. Wow. And why wouldn't they?
They wanted to keep this narrative going. Like, it was more salacious for me to be at a spa than to be really reflecting on my actions.
So did anyone from Bravo reach out to you post reunion out of concern, wanting to help you, wanting to pay for your treatment or check in with you, or even be worried that it would come down on them? Like, what was the reaction? What was their involvement, or what did they do? What have they done?
No, there was no check-in from anybody to see if I was okay, and just to, follow up. And unfortunately, I asked for my tuition, I guess, to be covered for my treatment, and they refused to pay for it. And I have a theory that is because if they paid for it, they would admit to this liability.
Yes, it's culpable. If you pay, then you're, yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. So there has been all this going around. People are, speculating that you're a part of this reality reckoning. And there have been just whispers about you and I, very, very subtle. But we've done a very good job that no one knows we're here, which is wonderful. And thank you, everyone. But has Bravo been acting differently towards you since your name is in the mix and they're getting word and they're getting legal letters and there's been a lot of very public?
Yeah. Just a few days ago, somebody reached out from the network and offered for security to be at my house where I'm staying with my parents. And it's a little too late.
Right.
All of the death threats were happening months ago, and you were aware of it, yet did absolutely nothing to protect anybody. And after that legal letter went out, all of a sudden they're offering services. So it's a little fishy.
Interesting. What's also interesting is that we watched what we just discussed as emotional abuse on the reunion, but what happens with the public? What about the messages, and what have people said to you? I've seen merch sold, cups with your names on. So explain that world of hate.
Oh my gosh. I think the most disturbing thing, talking about the merch, is when I sent out that cease and desist from my litigator to all of the cast to not share the video that was taken without my consent. Lala decided to use that and be like, oh my God, don't contact me directly. Contact my attorney, Daryl. Have your people send it to my people, you dumb bitch, or whatever the heck her message was. And then she started making these sweatshirts that said, send it to Daryl. And I guess she has made enough for a down payment on her new house in Palm Springs.
Wow.
The same house that she bought out from under the rug because Brock was interested in buying that house, but it just happened so quickly. I don't know. The details don't matter, but it's like so many people are using this opportunity and this scandal to monetize for their own benefit. And I'm left here
Broke.
And, you know, my name has been raked through the coals. I don't have business opportunities. My brand is shot.
Mistress.
Yeah.
At best.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of, did you actually receive death threats and online bullying? And
Yes. My parents received them more than I did. I shut off social media pretty early on, and thank God I didn't have my phone while I was in treatment. And, you know, we got the FBI involved because these things aren't okay. And I think people were seeing red and they were just like overcome with these emotions, but not thinking that this is a situation that isn't so black and white. And I'm really, really happy that I took the time to go to get treatment at the Meadows, because they did teach a lot about shame and carried shame, toxic shame, and what healthy shame is. And with all the vitriol online and hate that's been thrown at me, if I were to take that on as my own, I don't even know how I would survive.
Do you hold the cast responsible, or do you think they're just doing their jobs to make money?
That's a really good question. I think they're doing their jobs to make money. The girls' trip in Vegas was really traumatic for me. Obviously drinking a lot to numb my anxiety and awkwardness that I felt around these girls that haven't had the best history with me. And the following day, Lala and Christina Kelly came into my hotel room and they were like, "Oh my God, Raquel, that was amazing. Last night you like reality TV rating goals. You killed it. Like, so funny. I can't believe you. Like, you're so, like, you did it. You're the best." And then as soon as cameras were on, it was like, "Raquel, how could you? I can't believe what you said last night."
Oh.
And so that was already a mind fuck.
Right.
And I know that they're doing their job, and their job is to make ratings, to create something that people will be engaged with. And it's sick.
Before I want to just finish up with your future, but do we need to discuss this dog? Is this dog thing something that's relevant? Because it's a big question for people.
Did we already talk about it or no?
No.
Oh,
just
okay.
the dog, and then we're done in 2 minutes. I don't want to burn you out.
Okay. Yeah. So just really quickly, there's a lot more to the story. But Graham, oh my gosh, he has a history of aggression, and he's bitten me really hard. He's bitten other people. I already was considering getting a foster family while going into the Meadows and trying it out. But my dog Graham bit my mom. My dog Graham bit my mom's hand down to the bone, and it was so bad she couldn't even get stitches. And I had the decision to either leave the Meadows and go back and take care of my dog, or try to get him rehomed and finish out my treatment, because I knew I had more to work on. So I chose myself, and we researched a breed-specific dog rescue, and they took him in besides his biting behavior. And bottom line, he couldn't get rehomed. They reached out to Lisa Vanderpump to ask for a donation after they scanned his microchip and saw that he was my dog. It was supposed to be a confidential anonymous.
Situation,
Yeah,
right.
because it's nobody else's business.
Right.
And
that happens. Andy had a dog that was aggressive with the babe, and he was worried, so he had to give the dog away. Things happen with dogs.
Yeah. And there's a reason why I didn't want James to have Graham. He doesn't have dog experience, and he's part of the reason why Graham is a biter. James would encourage Graham to bite his hands hard, and he liked that sensation. So of course that trained Graham to be a biter. So to my surprise, people are like, oh my God, Graham's filming in Tahoe. And I thought it was a joke at first, and my heart dropped to my stomach. And there was a picture of James walking Graham, and I was like, no. Immediately my mom called the foster who was working with Graham, and she said, oh, it's so lovely, Lisa adopted him. And we were like, what? It's just so sick that they're using Graham as a part of this storyline and to further this villain narrative of
that you
mine.
Dumped your dog off.
Yes.
Oh.
So now the narrative is I dumped my dog at a shelter, and he was hours away of being euthanized. And that's not true.
Oh, okay. I got it. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. You got yourself into a whole
I know.
shit storm. Jesus.
I know.
Okay. So what are your regrets? Like, what would you do differently?
I regret a lot. I would do everything differently if I had the chance to go back. And I really just want to acknowledge that a lot of people were believing in me, and I feel like I was a disappointment to those people. I know that there was a lot of trust that was broken between friendships and betrayal that happened. And I look back at my actions and I'm disappointed in myself as well. That is not the person that I want to be. That I wasn't happy. I was really hurting. I don't ever want to be in a place like that again. And I will make sure that I don't put myself in that position again. I think there is a silver lining in the situation that I'm able to learn about myself and give myself this forgiveness and hopefully share with other people the knowledge that I've learned and help to broaden a perspective on all of these things that have happened and that I've experienced. And if somebody is going through a similar situation, that there's still hope.
That's powerful, honestly. It was all for something. It was not for naught. Yeah. I mean, it was a rough journey, but it got you to an awakening.
Yeah. Well, I needed to get caught. I needed to, because it would have just continued. And that's not who I want to be. This was the biggest wake up call for me.
Yeah. You hit rock bottom, beyond.
Yes. Yeah.
So would you ever go back to reality television?
Oh, hell no.
Never.
No, because I refuse to not respect myself on that level where I would endure that emotional abuse any longer. I can't do that to myself.
That's a big statement, because it's very tempting. Fame is tempting. Money is tempting. Chasing the dragon is tempting. That's a very big statement, because I would have bet that you would have gone back. And I'm actually proud of you. I don't even know you, but I'm proud of you, because it's not as easy. You are in the spotlight. You could go back and redeem yourself and be famous. So you don't want that. And have they asked you to come back?
Yeah, of course. Of course they want me back. And I know that other people on the cast are more important than I am. So I don't even think that I would get a redemption arc, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I also know that I wouldn't be able to share all of my story. Whatever I share gets condensed to 5 minutes max. Mm-hmm. So I think knowing that there's different options for me and there's good that I can do.
You turn this into something positive.
Yeah.
In considering coming back, did you consider coming back at all?
Yeah, I did. I asked for equal pay with Tom and Ariana and for them to reimburse me for my treatment expenses. They refused to pay me equally. And, I was considering going back if I was going to be paid equally, because I feel like when you pay your employees, it really shows how much you value them in, the whole, whatever it is.
I get it. You feel like at least I took a hit, but
yeah,
but
exactly.
wow, they are proud of me for,
right.
It's like this love, because you said in your statement that you look for love and validation.
Yeah.
And I've experienced that. You want the network to give you validation,
right?
Which is crazy. And I get it, but I've been there where you want someone to say, oh my God, look what we did and look at the ratings. And their MO is to not let talent know how well things have been going, because then they would have to compensate them. So we used to not even get the ratings until I demanded, we need to see the ratings, because you're not supposed to know you're doing so well.
Right. But it's impossible to not know how well the show is doing,
right?
Because everyone's talking about it. It's everywhere. Scandival is like the most sensationalized piece of pop culture that I've experienced.
Yes, it's enormous. And the zeitgeist, it's been massive. It really has. So yeah, it's been a cultural phenomenon. And will you speak to anybody from the show? Do you speak to anybody from the show, or is that's the past and you want to move on?
I have a no contact policy with every single cast member.
Okay. Wow. I know you have a no cast call rule, but actually I did want to know this. I wanted to know if you think that they feel that they went too far, the cast, and if they are sorry.
Lala has reached out to me on Instagram saying that she's willing to lend an ear, and I don't know. I just don't trust that person. I know she has her own agenda. I'm sure she wants to create an alliance with me so she can take down Randall for being a narcissist. And that's her whole MO.
Has anyone asked you to come back because you'd be good for the show? So good for business.
Yeah, I've been asked back. The only reason why I reached out to Lisa is because I told her my concerns about Graham being in the care of James Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a phone call from her. I answered and explained that James isn't a fit dog parent.
Mm-hmm.
And she just was talking about the potential scenes we could film together. She was like, just come back for one final interview. You can come to Villa Rosa. You can apologize for leaving and disappearing. And and she didn't ask me how I was. She didn't ask me what I've been dealing with since the last time she saw me at the reunion. And she almost got me back because I did want to share my side of the story, like we talked about. And there was this fire lit beneath me because I was angry that Graham was being used as a pawn in all of this. And I really do feel like he was bait to get me back.
Oh, okay. And you never get the last word on reality TV. And have any of the other cast members asked you to come back?
Tom has emailed me twice. Lala wanted me back. Yeah. Lisa wanted me back. Yeah.
Does that feel confusing when everyone said we thought she would get in a car and leave never to be seen again? You know, even Andy saying like she took a beat down and she was, mentally unwell, etc. And then like, is it strange that the same venue that would put you in that position, and I'm saying you're taking accountability and you definitely contributed to it, but that same place that may not be the best space for you or safe, that you went into a facility for 3 months of your life, is asking you to come back. it's like when you were on the reunion, like, hold on, come back after you just, were.
Yeah. Actually, it makes complete sense because they have ulterior motives. They don't care about my well-being. They care about their narrative that they need to portray on this show.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting show and season for them. It's going to be wild to see. And I'm sure they're going to have a real opinion about this conversation, lady. So this is the new you. I mean, you have a new chapter ahead of you. And what do you want to do now that you've grown up?
I really am impassioned by learning about myself and the psychology behind all of this. And I am taking the steps to start my own podcast.
Nice. Okay.
I feel like it would be a great way to share my side of the story and bring on experts that really understand the psychology
like
behind
a self-help.
Yeah.
So we should talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like, this is a area that's untapped because nobody really wants to talk about being the other woman. And for as many people that are hurt by this affair, there's equally as many people that have been
the other person. If you have, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If there are that many affairs, somebody's the mistress or the mister.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's very remarkable that you want to do a podcast and not just go dip back into the garbage. Like, you'll talk about the garbage. I'm sure you have a voice. We've been speaking for almost 2 hours. And do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Do you want to be in a relationship? Like, where are you in that area of your mind?
I would love to have a healthy relationship, but right now I am nurturing my houseplant and, still healing myself so I can break these patterns that I
cycle.
keep.
You want to break the chain and you want to have a good relationship with yourself.
Yes.
First.
Yeah.
So where will you be living? We're in Arizona now. I flew to come see you, which is there's no precedent for that. I have not done that. I really was feeling for you and not wanting to travel. And I thought, let me really have compassion and come to where you are so you feel safe, because I know that it was hard for you to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And I was worried that you might get cold feet. You came in very strong and very confident today and very together, which I didn't know if you'd be fragile or a mess so where will you be going from Arizona?
I'm going to be traveling around. I'm not headed back to LA anytime soon.
Okay.
So I have some plans to check out different states and different areas.
Oh, nice.
So it's unwritten at this point, but I'm excited to start this new chapter in my life.
Have a new journey, literal and figurative. Well, if you want to come visit me in the Hamptons, I'm right near the beach. So I just want to say thank you for trusting me. I mean, I give you a lot of credit for really staying quiet. It's very difficult to do that because you want to get your thought out, your word out. You want to correct everything that's wrong. And you took months to really just allow for it all to settle. And when you don't know what to do, sit still. And you did sit still. And now you got, is there anything we didn't cover? Were you able to get your entire story and your whole voice out today?
I think that whatever we didn't get to, which there's so much that goes on behind the scenes and what happens internally, even that.
Save it for your podcast.
Exactly. We'll get there.
Save it for your podcast. Okay. Well, thank you so much.